95% of belly fat isn't fat. Do this instead of crunches. Every single morning, 80 million Americans stand in front of the mirror and pinch the soft tissue around their midsection. They see a stomach that protrudes further than it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago. They see what they have been told their entire lives is fat, excess calories stored as adipose tissue that needs to be burned away through exercise and calorie restriction. And the overwhelming majority of them, more than 95%, are looking at the wrong thing entirely. What you are seeing is not fat. It is fluid, inflammation, and a digestive system that has quietly stopped functioning the way it was designed to. I am going to show you exactly what is actually happening inside your abdomen, why conventional weight loss approaches fail to address it, and the specific protocol that targets the real problem. Subscribe to Dr. Waterling right now and hit that like button. We are working toward 1,000 subscribers, and we are building this channel on one principle: real solutions that the healthcare system will not give you, because there is no profit in teaching people to solve problems at home. Let me be direct with you. The protruding abdomen that develops after age 40, the one that seems resistant to diet and exercise, the one that makes your clothes fit differently even when your weight on the scale barely changes, that is not primarily subcutaneous fat. In most cases, between 70 and 95% of that visible expansion is a combination of visceral inflammation, intestinal gas accumulation, fluid retention in the abdominal cavity, and weakened core musculature that allows internal organs to shift forward. The actual fat layer, the subcutaneous adipose tissue you can pinch with your fingers, typically measures between 1 and 3 centimeters thick. But the total protrusion, the distance your abdomen extends beyond where it should be, often measures 8 to 15 centimeters. That difference, that gap between the thin fat layer and the total expansion, that is what nobody talks about in fitness marketing, because you cannot sell fat burners or ab workout programs to fix inflammation and digestive dysfunction. Here is what is actually happening inside your body. Your intestines, specifically your small intestine and colon, occupy the majority of your abdominal cavity. When functioning properly, they maintain a relatively compact position, held in place by core muscles and fascial connections. But when chronic low-grade inflammation develops in the intestinal lining, a condition called subclinical enteritis, the intestinal walls swell. This swelling is not dramatic, not the acute inflammation you would feel as pain, but a persistent thickening of the intestinal tissue that adds millimeters of circumference to meters of intestinal length. When you calculate the total effect across 6 to 7 meters of small intestine and 5 meters of colon, those millimeters of swelling translate to liters of additional volume inside your abdomen. Simultaneously, digestive dysfunction leads to excessive gas production. Your colon contains trillions of bacteria, your microbiome, responsible for fermenting undigested food material. When the balance of bacterial species shifts toward gas-producing strains, a condition called dysbiosis, fermentation produces significantly more hydrogen, methane, and carbon dioxide. A healthy colon might contain 100 to 200 milliliters of gas at any given time. A dysfunctional colon with bacterial overgrowth can contain 1 to 2 liters of trapped gas, distributed throughout the intestinal loops. That gas has to go somewhere. It distends the intestinal walls outward, pushing against the abdominal wall and creating visible protrusion. The third factor is fluid accumulation. Your abdominal cavity normally contains a small amount of peritoneal fluid, perhaps 50 to 100 milliliters, that lubricates organ movement, but chronic inflammation triggers increased fluid production as part of the inflammatory response. Additionally, compromised lymphatic drainage, often related to sedentary behavior and weakened core muscle pump action, prevents efficient fluid clearance. The result is several hundred milliliters of excess fluid pooling in the lower abdomen, adding weight and volume that gravity pulls forward when you stand upright. The final component is structural. Your core muscles, the transverse abdominis, internal and external obliques, and rectus abdominis, form a muscular corset that holds internal organs in position. These muscles require regular activation to maintain tone. Modern, sedentary lifestyles, characterized by prolonged sitting with collapsed posture, result in chronic underactivation of these muscles. Over months and years, they lose tone and lengthening capacity. When core muscles weaken, they can no longer resist the outward pressure from the inflamed, gas-filled, fluid-laden intestines. The abdominal contents shift forward, creating the protruding belly that persists regardless of overall body weight. Now here is what the fitness industry will never tell you. Crunches, planks, and traditional ab exercises do not address any of these four mechanisms. They strengthen the rectus abdominis, the six-pack muscle, which runs vertically down the front of your abdomen. But that muscle has minimal role in containing lateral and forward organ displacement. The critical muscles are the transverse abdominis and obliques, which wrap horizontally and diagonally around your midsection like a corset. Standard ab exercises barely activate these muscles. More importantly, no amount of muscular strengthening will reduce intestinal inflammation, eliminate trapped gas, or clear accumulated fluid. You are training the wrong muscles to solve the wrong problem. The diet industry is equally misleading. Calorie restriction and cardiovascular exercise create a caloric deficit that forces your body to metabolize stored fat for energy. That works for subcutaneous fat, the pinchable layer under your skin, but it does nothing for inflammation, nothing for dysbiosis, nothing for fluid retention. This is why people lose weight on their arms, legs, and face while their midsection remains stubbornly prominent. They are successfully burning fat, while the actual causes of abdominal distension remain completely unaddressed. Let me walk you through a case from my clinical practice. Robert, 58 years old, came to me frustrated after losing 15 kilograms through diet and exercise over 8 months. His face looked gaunt, his arms looked thin, but his waist measurement had decreased by only 4 centimeters. He still could not button his dress shirts comfortably. He was convinced he was doing something wrong with his abdominal exercises. I had him lie supine on the examination table and performed a simple test. I pressed firmly on his abdomen in multiple locations. In the upper quadrants, I felt the normal resistance of abdominal wall musculature. In the lower abdomen, I felt something completely different: tympany, a drum-like resonance indicating gas-filled intestinal loops, and a sensation of fluid shifting under pressure. His abdomen was not fat. It was a distended, inflamed, gas-filled colon sitting behind weakened core muscles. I put Robert on a protocol that had nothing to do with AB exercises or calorie counting. Within 3 weeks, his waist measurement decreased by 7 centimeters, more than he had achieved in 8 months of conventional weight loss. His weight on the scale barely changed, perhaps 1 kilogram lighter, but his abdominal profile transformed completely. What changed was not fat mass. What changed was inflammation resolution, gas normalization, fluid clearance, and core muscle reactivation. Here is your complete protocol, step by step, clinically organized to address all 4 mechanisms simultaneously. Morning protocol: immediately upon waking. Do not get out of bed yet. Lie on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the mattress. Place both hands on your lower abdomen, fingers pointing toward your pelvis. Inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4, allowing your abdomen to expand fully under your hands. You should feel your belly rise toward the ceiling, not your chest. This is diaphragmatic breathing, and it is critical. Hold that full breath for a count of 2. Then exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6, actively pulling your navel toward your spine, using your deep core muscles. You should feel your abdomen flatten under your hands, creating tension in the muscles below your fingertips. That tension is transverse abdominis activation, the deep corset muscle that conventional ab exercises miss. Perform 5 complete cycles of this breathing pattern before getting out of bed. This morning activation primes your core muscles for the day and initiates lymphatic pumping that begins fluid clearance. After rising, drink 250 to 300 milliliters of warm water with the juice of half a lemon squeezed into it. The warm temperature stimulates gastric motility, the rhythmic contractions that move contents through your digestive tract. The lemon provides citric acid, which triggers bile release from your gallbladder, supporting fat digestion and preventing the sluggish digestion that contributes to gas accumulation. Drink this 15 to 20 minutes before any food. Breakfast should emphasize anti-inflammatory foods and prebiotic fiber that feeds beneficial gut bacteria. Prepare overnight oats the evening before using this exact recipe. Take 80 grams of rolled oats. Add 200 milliliters of unsweetened almond milk or regular milk, 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed, 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, half a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and a handful of blueberries. Mix thoroughly and refrigerate overnight. The oats and seeds provide soluble fiber that absorbs excess fluid in your intestines and feeds beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, powerful anti-inflammatory compounds that heal intestinal wall inflammation. The cinnamon helps regulate blood sugar spikes that trigger insulin release, and elevated insulin promotes inflammation and fluid retention. Eat this breakfast slowly, chewing each bite thoroughly to begin mechanical digestion and enzyme release in your mouth. Mid-morning, perform the core activation sequence. This is not an ab workout. This is a neuromuscular retraining protocol that teaches your deep core muscles to maintain tension throughout the day. Stand upright with your feet shoulder width apart. Place your fingertips on your lower abdomen just inside your hip bones. This is where you will feel transverse abdominis activation. Inhale normally, then exhale completely while pulling your navel back toward your spine. Do not tilt your pelvis or hunch forward. The movement is purely internal, a deep muscular contraction that narrows your waist circumference by 2 to 3 centimeters. Hold this contraction for 10 seconds while breathing shallowly. You should feel sustained tension under your fingertips. Release and rest for 10 seconds. Repeat this 10 times. The entire sequence takes approximately 3 minutes. This is not strenuous. This is precision activation of the exact muscles that contain abdominal contents and prevent forward organ displacement. Lunch should be built around lean protein and non-starchy vegetables that minimize gas production. Avoid beans, lentils, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower, and raw vegetables during the initial 3 weeks of this protocol. These foods, while healthy in other contexts, undergo bacterial fermentation in your colon that produces excessive gas in a dysbiotic microbiome. Instead, eat grilled chicken, fish, or lean beef with cooked vegetables like zucchini, spinach, carrots, and bell peppers. Season with turmeric, ginger, and black pepper. Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most potent natural anti-inflammatory compounds studied in medical literature. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Clinical Gastroenterology confirmed that curcumin supplementation significantly reduces intestinal inflammation markers. Ginger stimulates gastric emptying and reduces gas accumulation. Black pepper contains piperine, which increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. This is not folk medicine. This is targeted nutritional biochemistry. Afternoon, between 2 and 4 p.m., perform the lymphatic activation walk. This is not cardiovascular exercise for calorie burning. This is specific movement for fluid clearance. Walk at a moderate pace for 15 to 20 minutes. The pace should allow conversation without breathlessness. During this walk, every 2 to 3 minutes, stop and perform 10 gentle torso rotations. Stand with feet shoulder width apart, hands on hips, and rotate your upper body slowly from side to side through a comfortable range of motion. This twisting movement compresses and releases abdominal lymphatic vessels, pumping accumulated fluid toward your thoracic duct for elimination through your venous system. The combination of walking and rotation creates the exact mechanical stimulus needed for lymphatic drainage from your abdominal cavity. Dinner should be your smallest meal, consumed at least 3 hours before bed. Your digestive system operates with circadian rhythms, with peak enzyme production and motility occurring during daylight hours. Late, heavy meals overwhelm diminished nighttime digestive capacity. leading to incomplete digestion, bacterial fermentation, and morning bloating. Eat a palm-sized portion of protein with cooked vegetables. Avoid all grains and starches at dinner during the initial protocol phase. Evening, 1 hour before bed, prepare and drink a specific anti-inflammatory herbal infusion. Combine 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds, 1 teaspoon of chamomile flowers, and 1/4 teaspoon of fresh grated ginger in 400 milliliters of boiling water. Steep for 10 minutes, strain, and drink slowly. Fennel contains anethole, a compound that reduces intestinal spasm and facilitates gas expulsion. Chamomile has documented anti-inflammatory properties affecting intestinal mucosa. This infusion reduces overnight gas accumulation and supports morning evacuation, preventing the bloating that many people experience upon waking. Before bed, perform the final core engagement sequence. Lie on your back with knees bent and feet flat. Perform the same diaphragmatic breathing pattern you used upon waking, but this time, on each exhalation, actively pull your navel toward your spine and hold that contraction for the full 6-count exhale. Perform 10 cycles. This evening, activation maintains core muscle tone overnight and supports proper organ positioning during sleep. Within the first week of this protocol, you will notice reduced morning bloating and easier bowel movements. By the end of week 2, your waist measurements will begin decreasing, typically by 3 to 5 centimeters. By week 3, the abdominal protrusion that has resisted months or years of conventional exercise and dieting will show visible reduction. This is not fat loss. This is inflammation resolution, gas normalization, fluid clearance, and restored core muscle function. Robert, the patient I mentioned earlier, followed this exact protocol. After 3 weeks, his waist measurement decreased by 7 centimeters. After 6 weeks, he had lost 11 centimeters from his waist. His weight dropped by only 3 kilograms total, but his body composition and abdominal profile transformed. He could button all his dress shirts comfortably. More importantly, he reported increased energy, improved sleep, and complete resolution of the acid reflux that had plagued him for 5 years. These additional benefits resulted from the same mechanisms. Reduced intestinal inflammation and restored digestive function have systemic effects far beyond abdominal appearance. Now, critical safety information. If you experience sudden severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, blood in your stool, unintentional weight loss of more than 5 kilograms in a month, or abdominal swelling accompanied by yellowing of your skin or eyes, these are signs of serious medical conditions requiring immediate evaluation. This protocol addresses functional digestive issues and inflammation, not structural disease, infections, or malignancies. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, diverticulitis, or a history of abdominal surgery, consult with a gastroenterologist before implementing dietary changes. If you are taking medications for diabetes, blood pressure, or anticoagulation, these dietary interventions may enhance medication effects, potentially requiring dosage adjustments under medical supervision. The system you have trusted for weight loss advice is not designed to solve this problem. The fitness industry profits from selling you gym memberships, workout programs, and fat-burning supplements that address subcutaneous fat, while ignoring the actual mechanisms of abdominal distension. The food industry profits from selling you processed low-fat products that disrupt your microbiome and promote inflammation. Your next doctor's appointment will not include a discussion of intestinal inflammation, lymphatic drainage, or core muscle activation patterns because there is no billing code for teaching you to resolve these issues at home. You have been doing crunches because that is what the fitness industry told you burns belly fat. You have been restricting calories because that is what the diet industry told you creates weight loss. Both approaches fail to address what is actually happening in 95% of cases of abdominal protrusion after age 40. You are not fighting fat, you are fighting inflammation, gas, fluid, and structural weakness. The solution is not more exercise or fewer calories. The solution is targeted intervention that addresses the actual physiological mechanisms. How old are you? Write it in the comments. I want to see which age group makes up the majority of our viewers because it will directly shape what I cover in future videos. And if this video gave you a different understanding of what is actually happening in your body, hit that subscribe button and like this video. Every subscriber moves us closer to 1,000 and helps us reach more people who need to hear information that the conventional healthcare system will never provide in a 12-minute office visit. You are not broken. Your body is not failing. You have simply been fighting the wrong battle with the wrong weapons. Now you have the right ones.